Hey friends, welcome to March's book review of 2021. Today we're going to be going over 5 books like normal, and if any of these books are of interest to you, I will put them down in the description below so you can check them out. Okay, with that being said, the first one is Who, Not How by Dan Sullivan and Dr. Benjamin Hardy. Looks like this. It's about 170 pages, so it's a nice, easy and quick read. So with this first one, the whole idea behind it and the whole premise of it is focus on what you're good at and only spend the most amount of time doing what you are best at. Everything else, hire out for other people who are specialists in that craft. And so I really like this, even with how they executed this in this book, because Dan Sullivan teaches this, but Dr. Benjamin Hardy, he's the one who wrote it. And so it was cool how even them talking about it, they put it into practice with this book as well. But as I was thinking about this is one of the reasons why small business owners in particular never progress on hire, like other than their small business, is because they are doing everything themselves. And a refusal to hire people means you're going to be trapped to some extent with whatever you're doing. And so this idea of who, not how will not only liberate you on time, but it will also expand whatever it is that you're trying to do, because now you're hiring a specialist in that category, whereas you may have enjoyed it, but you were only good. And when you're hiring a specialist for it, obviously things are going to turn out better. So I really like this book. Again, it's called Who, Not How by Dan Sullivan with Dr. Benjamin Hardy, looking like that. Okay, this next one is called On Writing by Stephen King. And this one, it is 284 pages. Or 264, 284, that might have been with the appendix and whatnot. But anyways, with this book, I really enjoyed this one by Stephen King. I thought it was very practical. The first 100 pages or so, I was kind of like, okay, what's going on here? But it was kind of the story of how he even got into writing in the first place, going over, some of his childhood, some of his history with that and whatnot. And then he really gets into the meat and potatoes of what he thinks are necessary for writing. And I honestly just really enjoyed this read. I did it. This one in particular, with a really practical book like this, I like to break it up over many, many days and just write like little lessons each time I'm reading it and whatnot. That way, if I read it all in one time, I don't feel like I would be able to absorb as much as I do whenever I do it over a long amount of time. And so if you're looking for just a practical book on writing with a little bit of story in there, because he includes his, then I think this is a really good book to pick up. Again, it's about 284 pages, and it's called On Writing by Stephen King, looking like that. This next one, I really am going to highly recommend this one if you set any type of goal for yourself. I'm not gonna lie, this one changed what I focused on with my goals. It didn't change necessarily how I set them, but it did change what I focus on. So with that being said, it's called The 4 Disciplines of Execution by Chris McChesney, Sean Covey, and Jim Huling. Looks like this. I think that's how you say the last name, Chris McChesney, yeah. And this one is, I think it's just under 300 pages. I marked this section in the book because I wanted to show you guys this point. This is the whole idea of the book right here. Okay, it's the 4 disciplines of execution. This is discipline number 1, and I'll expand into this in a second. But it's focus on the wildly important goal, or focus on the wildly important. Discipline number 2, act on lead measures. 3, keep a compelling scoreboard. 4, create a cadence of accountability. Okay, so with these 4 measurements, with these 4 disciplines, if you will, this completely changed how I thought about getting goals done and what to focus on when I set the goal. So whatever the most important thing is, whatever you are going for in the goal that you have, you need to know what the lead factors are with that goal. Like what is essentially, okay, so the goal is the end result. What are the things that's going to get to the goal? What are the measurable things that are going to get the goal done? So like, for example, if you want to write a book and it needs to be, however long the publisher's telling you it needs to be, however long, you're like, okay, I know I need to write 200,000 words, and if I have this time frame, I know I need to write X amount of words per day. Okay, so the lead measure that they're talking about here, as far as acting on lead measures, is now that the goal's there, you have to focus tremendously on those lead measures. And as long as you're getting those lead measures done, the goal will come. It's like just an automatic result. And so it's a big change from focusing on this really big thing that may look really hard and now turning it into focusing on just actionable items every day. So like one from my life that I've been doing for a while, which I didn't even realize I was doing this, but so for me, I like to read about 150 books in a year. And so for me, I did this, I think about 2 years ago. I was like, okay, that's a book every 2.54 days. And that's all I focused on. I was like, okay, if I can get a book in this amount of time, I'll break that down to pages. I'll figure out what books I want to read the month ahead, and I'll just break that down in pages. And so now I wasn't even thinking about the big goal. Now I'm thinking about the pages that I got to read per day. And that was the lead measure. And so now it just got me to start thinking about lead measures now for all my goals. So I really, really like this. And again, they talk about keep a compelling scoreboard. That's, know where you're at essentially within the progress. And then for creating a cadence of accountability, they did like a weekly WIG meeting. That's what they called it, wildly important goal meeting. I think that's what they called it. And it was essentially keeping track, making sure everyone was doing what they committed to the past week. So this book, if you run a business or if you just really enjoy setting goals for yourself, this book I highly recommend. The 4 Disciplines of Execution, looking like this. Okay. This next one, I've caught some flack on with some people who have asked me, what kind of book is this? But I highly recommend this one as well. It's called How to Read a Book, The Classic Guide to Intelligent Reading by Mortimer J. Adler and Charles Van Doren. Looks like this. I think this one is, 336 pages. So this is 336 pages, how to read a book, okay? Yes, I read a book on how to read a book. Here's what I'll say about this one. It was a slower read. I'm not gonna lie. It was a slower read. But just because it was a slower read, it was more valuable. It was precisely more valuable. The level of engagement that you should have with this book in terms of what you should take away with this, and even maybe reading it multiple times, not only do they talk about the art of reading, if you will, and what is the best way to read, the different levels of reading. And no, I'm not gonna do a full review on this one book because you could spend probably an hour even just talking about this book, was what they did, or even more. But they talked about the levels of reading, the art of reading, how you should read different types of books, whether they are mathematical books or philosophical books or fiction, just whatever it may be, just nonfiction. How do you interact with each genre? Do you read each book with the same speed, with the same level of interaction? Does each book deserve the same amount of time? All these things are very, very, very reasonable questions to ask. And I think the cool thing that kind of happened is I've been reading for the past 4 years now. And a lot of what they talked about in the book, I think I had naturally developed just because as you continue to read, you kind of realize, okay, I can kind of go fast with this one. Oh, I got to really slow down with this one. And you kind of just pick those things up naturally. But if you're reading less, even with what I've read, this book was still very, very valuable. But if you don't read at all, or if you read less, the amount of insights that you may get from this book may be tremendous. It will be a slower read, but it really was a classic guide, as it says. So again, this is How to Read a Book, looking like that. This next one is literally a textbook, and it was apparently only half of what he originally wrote. So the other half is online, I guess, or the full manuscript is online. But it's called Boundless by Ben Greenfield. It's literally a textbook. This thing is so heavy and so big. So this one's about 600 pages, but this one, I don't even know where to begin with this one. All I can say is, let's say you are new to optimizing your body, optimizing your brain, optimizing your health, longevity, etc. This was myself, relatively new to this. I really enjoyed this one. It honestly wasn't too technical. It was very long, so I did a chapter a day. That's how I had to break this one down, because I wasn't just going to sit down and just read through a textbook like this. But let me rephrase. If you're a beginner, this is a great book to start with. But that's not to say, hey, if you know something about this, about the field of health and optimizing your body, it's not to say that this is not a great book, because it is seriously a good book, because there's bound to be something in here that you don't know about. So whether it be talking about optimizing your brain, or literally optimizing workouts, optimizing weight loss, optimizing learning, optimizing sleep. He just goes on galore. So there is 600 pages worth, and these are big pages too, 600 pages worth of dense material, years and years and years of his own research and condensing different materials. That's one of the reasons why I got it, because that's one of the reasons why I get any book. If I can have years and years and years of someone's life or someone's research in a book, and it's going to take me a month to read or 2 months to read, yes, I'm definitely going to do that. So this one, if you are into health at all, pick up this book, and he has links in this book for a lot of the different stuff that he talks about, a lot of the different resources, including the full manuscript and whatnot. So this is Boundless by Ben Greenfield, about 600 pages. Okay, so that's that one. And again, just to go over them again, Boundless, How to Read a Book, The 4 Disciplines of Execution, On Writing by Stephen King, and then Who, Not How by Dan Sullivan and Dr. Benjamin Hardy. So again, with that being said, like I said in the beginning, I'm going to leave those down in the description below. If any of those sounded interesting to you, feel free to go check those out. With that being said, I will see you guys on the next one.